When life breaks you, it doesn't come with a warning. It doesn't ask for permission. It shows up in the middle of your plans. It knocks on your door when you're least prepared, and it takes from you more than you ever thought you could lose. It leaves you staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., wondering how something so fragile could feel so heavy. And that's the part most people don't understand. Being broken doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. When life breaks you, the pieces you're left with don't look like they'll ever fit together again. You feel like you're standing in the ruins of the person you used to be. But that's not the end of your story. That's the place where the rebuilding begins. And the truth is, rebuilding doesn't happen with giant leaps. It happens in small, stubborn steps. It's brushing your teeth when you don't feel like it. It's making that one phone call you've been avoiding. It's showing up for yourself in the smallest, quietest ways until the momentum slowly builds. When life breaks you, it doesn't end you. It introduces you to the version of yourself that was hidden beneath comfort, the one who learns how to walk with pain, rebuild with patience, and rise with strength that can only be born in the fire. Life has a way of placing us in moments where we feel stripped of everything familiar, where the walls we leaned on suddenly collapse, and the ground beneath our feet feels unsteady. We're left in the rubble of circumstances we didn't choose, questioning our worth, our direction, and sometimes even our will to keep moving. But inside of that wreckage, something begins to stir. It's the part of you that has never been tested before, the part of you that only emerges when everything safe and predictable has been torn away. When life breaks you, the pain feels like it has no boundary. It seeps into everything, your mornings, your conversations, your ability to focus, even your silence. You wake up with it, you carry it through the day, and it meets you again at night. But pain is a strange teacher. It shows you that you can still move with a limp, you can still breathe with a heavy chest, you can still create while carrying wounds. Walking with pain teaches you humility. It teaches you compassion. It teaches you how fragile every single human being is and how much courage it takes just to exist in a world that can shatter you. When life breaks you, patience becomes your anchor. Not the kind of patience that feels like waiting for something easy, but the kind that feels like watching grass grow in a desert. It's the patience of showing up every single day, even when nothing seems to change, even when the progress is invisible, even when your effort feels wasted. Rebuilding is slow. It's frustrating. It demands more than you think you have to give. And yet, in that process, you discover the depth of your endurance. You learn that patience isn't just about waiting. It's about holding yourself steady in the storm, about choosing not to quit, about believing that something is forming in the unseen even when you can't measure it. When life breaks you, it burns away illusions. You begin to see what really matters and who really matters. Comfort often clouds vision, but pain sharpens it. You start noticing the small things you once overlooked. A kind word, a gentle smile, a moment of peace in the chaos. You realize that the people who stand beside you in your brokenness are the ones who carry real love, and the people who disappear were never part of your foundation. It hurts to lose, but it's clarifying. You begin to rebuild your life with a different lens, with a clearer sense of what's worth your time and who's worth your heart. When life breaks you, strength is no longer an abstract word. It's no longer about muscles or confidence or bravado. Strength becomes the quiet act of getting out of bed when every part of you wants to stay under the covers. It's choosing to face another day with honesty instead of pretending you're fine. It's saying, I don't know how, but still taking one step. Fire doesn't create strength by giving comfort. Fire creates strength by consuming what's weak and forcing what's strong to endure. And in the middle of that fire, you realize you're still standing, you're still breathing, you're still here. When life breaks you, your perspective changes on what it means to live. You stop chasing perfection because perfection was shattered the moment you were. You stop trying to fit into the old version of yourself because that mold no longer exists. Instead, you start to embrace the process of becoming, of evolving, of shaping yourself into something new. It's not about putting the pieces back the way they were. It's about creating something out of them that never existed before. That is the hidden gift of being broken. It gives you a chance to rebuild not as you were, but as you were meant to be. When life breaks you, you carry scars. Some visible, some invisible. They don't go away, and they're not meant to. Scars are not signs of weakness. They're markers of survival. They remind you of what you endured, of the battles you fought, of the nights you thought you wouldn't make it through, but somehow did. Scars don't make you less beautiful. They give you depth. They give you character. They give you stories to tell. And every time you look at them, you're reminded that the breaking didn't destroy you. It revealed you. When life breaks you, you are forced to slow down, to listen to the quiet voice inside of you that comfort often drowns out. You begin to hear the whispers of resilience, the reminders of hope, the gentle nudges that tell you to take just one more step. And step by step, day by day, you begin to rise. Not quickly, not without struggle, but steadily. And in that rising, you discover a kind of power you never knew was possible. A power that was born not in the easy seasons, but in the hardest ones. Being broken doesn't make you less. It makes you real. The cracks you carry are not evidence of failure, but proof of survival. And if you let them, they will shape you into someone unshakable, unafraid, and undeniably alive. Brokenness has a way of stripping away illusions we hold about ourselves and the world. We grow up thinking life will be linear, predictable, manageable, but reality bends us, twists us, and sometimes snaps us. Those breaks feel like the end, like you've lost the very essence of who you were. But in truth, they reveal layers of your humanity that perfection could never show. When you walk through seasons of brokenness, you no longer chase the shallow masks of appearing flawless. You learn the weight of authenticity, the strength of vulnerability, and the courage it takes to walk forward with scars instead of hiding them. Being broken teaches you to look at yourself with new eyes. The voice inside that once demanded perfection, success, control, begins to soften because you realize that control was an illusion all along. You begin to value progress over perfection, effort over outcome, honesty over appearances. That shift makes you real in a world obsessed with image. People may admire your strengths, but they connect with your cracks, with the places where you reveal that you too have struggled, failed, fallen, and risen again. The realness of brokenness creates connection. It allows others to see themselves in your story and to find hope in your survival. The cracks you carry are not shameful. They're sacred. Every crack tells a story of a moment you thought you couldn't go on but did. They're reminders that you endured something heavy, something sharp, something that could have ended you, but instead it carved meaning into your life. You can choose to cover them, to plaster over them, and pretend they're not there, but when you do, you miss the chance to honor the truth of your journey. When you allow the cracks to remain visible, you declare that life did not defeat you, it defined you. And in that definition, you become someone others can lean on when their own lives fracture. Survival itself is proof of strength. You may not have come out of the fire unscathed, but you came out, and sometimes that's more powerful than walking through untouched. Survival says you learned how to keep breathing with heavy lungs, how to keep moving with trembling legs, how to keep believing when doubt shouted louder than hope. That kind of strength doesn't come from victories or applause. It comes from endurance. It comes from the quiet moments where no one saw you fighting, no one heard you praying, no one knew you were battling, but you were. Those moments gave you a resilience that can't be taught, only lived. If you let the cracks shape you, they'll mold you into someone unshakable. Because once you've been broken, what else can life take that you haven't already survived? The storms don't scare you the same way once you've stood in the middle of one and come through alive. Fear loses its grip when you realize the worst didn't destroy you. You begin to carry a calm strength, not because life is easy, but because you know you're capable. You become unshakable, not by avoiding pain, but by learning you can bend without breaking completely. You can fall without staying down. You can hurt without being defined by the hurt. Fear itself transforms when you've been broken. You stop being afraid of failing because you already know what it feels like to fall and to rise again. You stop being afraid of loss because you've already tasted grief and realized it didn't erase your capacity to love. You stop being afraid of imperfection because you've learned that the cracks are where the light enters. Fear loses its power when you've walked through darkness and discovered you could still find your way. That's how brokenness shapes you into someone unafraid. Not someone reckless, but someone grounded in the knowledge that life can hurt you and you'll still stand. Being undeniably alive comes from those very cracks. When life breaks you, you start to feel the fragility of existence in ways you didn't before. You recognize how quickly things can change, how precious moments are, how valuable people are, how fleeting time is. Brokenness wakes you up. It sharpens your awareness to the beauty in the ordinary. The laughter of a friend, the warmth of sunlight, the sound of your own steady breath. What once seemed small becomes significant because you understand how easily it could be lost. The cracks let you feel more, love deeper, and live with a fire you didn't have before. In many cultures, broken objects aren't discarded, they're honored. Think of the art of repairing pottery with gold, where the cracks are not hidden but highlighted, transforming the once broken piece into something more beautiful than before. That's what life does with you if you let it. The cracks don't make you worthless, they make you priceless. They reveal that you've lived, that you've endured, that you've overcome. They transform you into a vessel that carries wisdom, empathy, and a kind of strength that only comes from lived experience. The truth is, nobody escapes life without being broken. Some hide it better than others, but everyone carries cracks. The difference lies in whether you view them as evidence of failure or as reminders of survival. If you choose survival, if you choose to honor the cracks, then every broken place becomes a source of power. You stand taller not because you were never knocked down, but because you rose every time you were. You shine brighter not because you were never in darkness, but because you carried light through it. And you live fuller not because life was easy, but because brokenness taught you to cherish every fragile, fleeting, extraordinary moment of it. What do you think about this video? Tell me in the comments.